Welcome to the Frequency Labyrinth. I am Adrienne McDonald, your host. This podcast is for you if you're done with surface level self-help and ready for something deeper and actually transformative. Around here, we work with ancient wisdom, human design, gene keys, and shamanic practices, not as knowledge to collect, but as tools to live by. This isn't about one size fits all. It's about learning to work with your energy, your design, and your life. This is about integration and embodiment. We go deep here with ancient wisdom, practical integration, so that you can develop ironclad self-trust. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Grab a cozy beverage and let's get into it. Today's episode is going to be around August's energy mix. We're going to be diving into the sun's journey through the 6 human design gates and their gene key themes. I'm going to touch on the lunation cycles, talk a little bit about the retrogrades, and dive into what I think the 12 profiles can look out for this month. So let's zoom out a bit first. We're not just stepping into a new month. We're entering in a new quarter in the human design wheel, and it's the quarter of duality, which runs from usually early August to early November. And this is a quarter where the evolutionary focus shifts from the individual and the material world to the realm of relationships and connection, interpersonal bonds. So this is where the personal realizations that you've had this year thus far really meet the real world. Can you stay rooted in your truth while staying connected to others? Are you willing to be seen from a place of vulnerability, not just in your power? And what kind of relationship dynamics are really ready for healing, or maybe a different level of commitment or even release? Because the quarter of duality is not just about you. It's about what you bring into your relationships now that you've met more of yourself, hopefully. So with all of that, August becomes this type of crucible for revelation, adaptation, and commitment. This month is really going to ask, what can you no longer ignore? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it from a place of clarity, not from pressure or reaction? So if June was about what nourishes you, and July was looking at different types of leadership and really being cracked open a different way about power dynamics, then August is where those realizations really drop in and they don't let you look away. So this is not just about clarity, it's about choosing what you'll do with what you now cannot help but see. So let's walk through the gates of the month. Now we begin the month in gate 33 because that started in July, and it's the gate of privacy. And the gene keys of that gate is forgetting is the shadow, mindfulness is the gift, and then revelation is the city. And this is the archetype of a little bit of being a hermit, one that steps back, not to hide, but to sort of integrate and gather truth from the quiet. And it's that pause that lets you integrate what you've lived and release what you no longer you need to carry, and it can be also like a preparation time for the narrative that is about to be revealed. And it's where you sink into wisdom, I feel like. And, revelations sometimes aren't always loud. Sometimes they're really quiet. So, what is being revealed to you right now is a good question to ask yourself. On August 6th, the sun moves into gate 7, and the gate is the role of the self and interaction. And this is where it starts really highlighting a more relational tone. This is the energy of diplomacy and leadership, the kind that doesn't really seek the spotlight, but magnetizes direction through like a more diplomatic sense. It's more inner clarity and, hey, what's good for the collective and that sort of thing. And in the Gene Keys, the shadow of this gate is division. And the gift is guidance, and the highest state is virtue. And it invites you to examine, are you trying to control the outcome? Or are you guiding from like a real strong sense of integrity and embodied truth and what's best for the collective? And in a month rooted in relationship, this is really the first checkpoint. Now, I think that integrity is going to be another key word for August. This particular transit is coming up against some really difficult astrology with a Mars and Libra opposition to Saturn. So during August 7th to probably around the 10th, although this goes to the 11th, I would be very mindful about not getting pulled into divisiveness, because that is the lowest frequency during this time period. But I'll talk about a little bit about that more in a bit. August 12th, we move into gate 4, which is formalization, and that's located in the head center. So this gate seeks mental certainty, but it's a deeper invitation to become more comfortable with, say, paradox. And we are all about paradox in humanity, right? The Gene Keys shadow is intolerance, and the gift is understanding, and the acidic state is forgiveness as the evolutionary path. And here's something about that. Now, understanding doesn't mean justification. Forgiveness doesn't require approval. And this is the gate where the mind learns to soften when new realizations start to sink in. And sometimes they might not even make perfect sense. But if clarity isn't something that you force to happen, you just allow it to unfold. And I feel like that this is a real good opportunity to really try to understand another person's capacity, because that will save you a lot of grief and frustration over time if you can look at someone and go, okay, does this person really have the capacity to have this conversation? Yes or no? Or does this person is coming from a different level of awareness? And that's a very powerful thing to ask yourself, because you can get to understanding a lot quicker that way. So from August 17th to 22nd, the sun moves into gate 29. I have this gate. It's in my Jupiter. It is my pearl in the Gene Keys. It is the gate of perseverance, and it is obviously one of my favorite gates, but can be one of the most important gates when it comes to using the right use of energy. This isn't the grit your teeth and bear it kind of perseverance. It's about true commitment. And the Gene Keys shadow is half-heartedness, and the gift is commitment, and the acidic state is devotion. And it's like a truth serum for where your energy leaks. Like, are you committing out of fear, obligation, guilt, or out of reverence for what's really truly aligned for you. And, devotion doesn't ask for more effort. It asks for integrity of intention. And that's, it took me a long time to really embrace that, but it makes a huge difference. And then from August 23rd to 28th, Sun transitions into gate 59. Now this is I think the original text, this was called the gate of sexuality. Some people call it the gate of intimacy because it does have ties to the themes of intimacy, emotional openness, creative fusion. And yes, this gate relates to sexual energy, but it's more about creation energy. It's about the walls that we build and the truths that we hold in order to protect ourselves. Because really, when we look at the gene keys, it's moving from dishonesty, coming from a place of manipulation in our relationships, to intimacy, which, holds that vulnerability and openness. And the city is transparency. And this transit is going to really challenge you to ask, where am I craving connection but afraid to be seen? And this gate really can help you with discernment about where real intimacy begins. And that's with internal honesty. So finally, we close out the month with gate 40, the gate of aloneness. And that is from August 29th through the 31st. And this gate is, despite its weird name, it's not about isolation. It's about knowing where your energy ends and someone else's begins. It's about honoring rest as a sacred place, because you don't want to pour from an empty cup, right? You want to pour from a full cup. And the gene key's shadow is exhaustion, and the gift is resolve, and the city is divine will. And this transit asks, where have I been confusing obligation with love and depletion with devotion, right? A lot of conflicts come up when you're exhausted, and this is a moment to reclaim your energy and reset your boundaries and reorient towards a more soul-led giving place. Now let's talk about the lunation cycles. So our first full moon is in Aquarius, August 9th. And this is the full moon that is going to be in gate 7, which is the role of self. When I talked about that, I said that the shadow state is division and the gift is guidance. This is the diplomatic leader, this is a person in the highest state of gate 7, might be considered like a master negotiator. And this full moon arrives with the pressure. It's not the particularly gentle kind either, because we're going to be in that Mars-Saturn opposition, which peaks, I think, on that same day. Mars wants to move. It's in Libra. And Saturn in Aries is also in retrograde. It's not so fast. So this could be a little heavier of a full moon. And again, I would caution people to listen and not react, because this could feel a little heavier than normal, and there could be a little bit more friction. But if you stay in that role of, the gift state of guidance, you probably get some guidance, because the sun, when this full moon peaks, the sun is, like I said, going to be in gate 7, but the moon is going to be in gate 13, which is the listener. And the polarity here is, are you trying to lead? Are you willing to listen? Are you speaking just to be heard or truly to connect? And that's the energy. And you know what? Aquarius energy always zooms out. It's big picture visionary. It's a truth teller. It's a pattern breaker. And this lunation wants something more, not just for you, but for how this is going to affect your relationships going forward. So it really wants you to hear the thing that you've been avoiding. I think that's the truth of the full moon on in Aquarius on August 9th. And then we have a new moon in Virgo, August 23rd. And I think that by the time we get to here, the energy is going to shift quite a bit. So I don't think this is really going to be a dreamy full new moon. A dreamy new moon, not full moon. This is more of a clear-eyed, emotionally honest one. So both the sun and the moon were going to be sitting in gate 59, which is the gate of sexuality or the gate of intimacy. And together they're going to be asking, like, where are you still hiding behind the performance instead of presence? Like, where are you, like, what are you ready to let in truly now? Because your heart knows better. Because you've seen the things that you're supposed to see this month, probably by this point. So, it's going to be a real clear one, and it's going to be rooted in probably a different level of honesty that may surprise you. So, now in the cosmic mix of the retrograde roll call, August may feel like you're wading through molasses at some points. You're not imagining it. We're just, syncing up with the sky because we've got a really heavy retrograde presence this month. Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. Is Uranus in? I know Pluto and Chiron are all in retrograde. Uranus is not in retrograde yet, but Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, Mercury starts the month off in retrograde. And Mercury does station direct on August 11th, but it's going to still be in its shadow for a couple of weeks, so keep that in mind. And, retrogrades are recalibration. What are you forcing forward momentum when integration is what's really needed? Where, what internal patterns are still running the show behind the scenes? Because that's what retrogrades do, is give us an opportunity to, go over something and go, I thought I took care of that, but there's this loose hanging thread. What's being revealed in this slowness that you couldn't hear in the noise? And retrogrades are revision energy. They pull us inward. They slow us down. They strip away the illusion of urgency. And especially with outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, those, and even Saturn, those planets, they're making us work on a more collective work level, not just personal reflection, but a reorientation of what's true, sustainable, and soulful from a collective. So if you're feeling a little foggy out there, a little tender, suddenly more discerning about where your energy goes, that's a good sign. Your system is syncing up with the deeper rhythm of change. So let's go through 3 things to watch for by Human Design Profile. Okay, and these themes again are revelation, adaptation, and commitment. And let's start with the 1-3s, the investigative martyr. So you may feel like a realization that once felt solid may feel outdated, and your foundation is shifting. And adaptation may mean testing new tools or beliefs through real life experience, not theory. And commitment may mean staying in the process even when it's messy. You're not behind, you're just refining. In the 1-4, the investigator opportunist, you may find a truth lands through your relationships or shakes up your role in said relationships. And adaptation could be coming through shifting your social boundaries and how you offer your insight. You may dive a little deeper into your Mercury placement. And commitment is about choosing relationships and roles that support your long-term well-being, not just your image. And 2 4s. You could be coming to a realization where you've compromised your need for solitude to keep others happy. And adaptation is maybe learning to re-enter the connection only when you feel from a place of that you've been restored, and not obligation, and strengthening those boundaries. And commitment is about protecting your rhythm so that when you're in, you're really in. And 2 5s, the Hermit Heretic, a truth about that could be coming through is how you've hidden to avoid projection or overexpose yourself, trying to control it. Adaptation means letting go of the fear of being misunderstood. You may get a revelation around that. Commitment could be showing up for your own truth first, and then let others meeting you there, or not meet you at all, and being okay with that. 3 5, the Martyr Heretic, probably going to have a revelation shining on a pattern that you've been repeating, not as a failure, but as in it. Well, you need to look at it as feedback, right? And it could be an opportunity to really pick apart that pattern from a different angle. And adaptation is about giving yourself permission to pivot without that guilt and judgment. And commitment is only saying yes to paths and peoples that meet your growth and not your guilt, not your obligation. And let them say whatever they're going to say. People are going to talk about you, so don't feed the trolls or the monsters. 3 6, the Martyr Role Model. You may be realizing that you're not in the same phase anymore, and you can't relate to the same things. An adaptation is integrating the wisdom of what you've lived without needing to constantly prove it. Commitment is honoring your evolution, even when it means you've outgrown old roles or even communities. And sometimes that's tough. I think that for the 6s in the mix, that is going to be a theme in this section of the year, is you're going to probably be looking around going, these aren't my people anymore. And 4 1's the opportunist investigator. And this could be a shakeup to something in your foundation, whether it's intellectual or relational, and it asks you to reevaluate. Adaptation could look like letting people in while still doing your internal due diligence. Like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. But not ignoring that deep dive that you want to go in either. Commitment is balancing your need for structure with real-time connection and support, right? You get to go do the deep dive, but you gotta also have your people. And the 4 6, you may realize that being liked isn't the same as being in a healthy relationship. Despite you trying to tell yourself that you're devoted to said relationship, again, I think there's going to be, for our 4s, I think that there's going to be a lot of looking at relationships in a different way during this quarter. An adaptation could be maybe adjusting how you engage socially without betraying yourself. And commitment to your vision, well, there could be a different level of commitment to your vision. because it probably looks different now. And building relationships align with that particular vision. Maybe not the one that you did on the vision board in January. 5 wands, the heretic investigator, could have a truth around projection lands hard sometimes, and not everyone is meant to understand you. And you may be getting, or may have had, some real hard hits lately to drive that point home, or drive that point home in August. Adaptation could be refining what problems are yours to solve and what are distractions, because 5s love a good problem and sometimes very much use that as a distraction. And commitment is standing by your message, even when it's disruptive. And in 5 wands, it often is disruptive, because the one part is that deep dive where you've gone into a certain level of mastery, so you really know your stuff. 5 twos, this could be a wake up, the heretic hermit, the wake up call could be that where you're really realizing where you've overextended to fulfill others' expectations. And the adaptation could be reclaiming your solitude time as a strategic power source, not like as an escape. And the commitment could be showing up when it's right, where it's right, not just when it's requested, and when you've had enough time to recharge. The 6-2, the role model hermit, you might have a quiet realization that your wisdom isn't necessarily in the way you teach. It's how you live. And the adaptation is, you got to own your natural rhythm and trust what is emerging in the highs and also in the lows, in the rhythm of life. We all have peaks and valleys, right? And commitment to embodiment may look a little different right now. It really is what makes you magnetic, not trying harder. So really feeling into where integration needs some space. And then we have 6 threes. You may have had a breakthrough about what your past has taught you and what you're here to model from it. Because, there's a lot that has been stripped away and integrated throughout the first part of this year. So adaptation could be integrating those lived lessons as, the soil for the new phase that you're in. And, with it now being the quarter of duality, you might feel ready to go out and share that more from a modeling standpoint. And, your commitment is to being real, not perfect. You lead best when you're honest about your path. It's all an experiment. It's an experiment for all of these profiles, but, what makes you feel like your integrity, that goes for everybody, is like, how do you feel? How does your body feel when you're in integrity and when you're not? And pay close attention to that. So here's your reminder that this isn't a month to push harder. I'm never probably going to tell you that it's a month to push harder. But it is a month that's going to have us get really honest about what's no longer working, because we're not going to be able to unsee it. And I think that, when when you realize what you're not available for anymore, what you're truly available for, and what deserves your full-hearted commitment, that can be very life-changing. So if this episode has stirred something in you, a nudge, a truth, maybe a little nugget of clarity, I'd love for you to share it with someone who's trying to navigate their own shifts. And you can also check the show notes if you're ready to explore your own chart or your energy in depth. and whether it's through a Keras session or a human design reading or even a shamanic healing session. So until next time, choose what matters. I'll be back next week. And remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic in the mundane. Thanks for tuning in today. As always, take what resonates, leave the rest. Let whatever landed move through you in whatever way it needs to or wants to. And also, if you want to explore more, you'll find more information in the show notes. If this episode stirred something in you, please share it out or leave a quick review. It helps so much and I really appreciate it. And remember, this work is about integration and it always starts with self-trust.